Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's family service. I'm Gail Okada, and I will be your chairperson today. We'll begin this morning's service with Sanbu Jo on pages 24 and 25.
Sei Ge. 書が顔無料をうい来接種うさいショッピング政府上昇が可視成仏の病床長実法空教未消門政府上昇が利欲人少年上下種本領非具無浄土一生天人知人力現代語無償無才道少女三苦病交際集約難愛知恵念滅死根門閉塞小悪道通達全宗門高僧上満蔵異様の実法日月集中期天候恩福源一周解放像法制空読法上大集中説法四四苦不要一切物具足修徳本観念失常満特異三害用両仏無下死通達未不詳願学営利投資最小損志願略効果来世の感動国書天に大内妙慶
Please stand for the Gatha Nembutsu 1 on page 99 in the White Book, and remain standing for the reading of meditation number 7 on page 18 of the Purple Book.
Switch books, please. Meditation reading on page 18, number 7. The Way of the Bodhisattva. May I be a medicine for the sick and weary, nursing them until their afflictions are gone forever. I would be a protector for the helpless, a guide for travelers and their means for crossing a stream, a lamp for those who need a lamp, a bed for those who need a bed, a slave for those who need a slave. May all find happiness through my actions, and let no one suffer because of me. Whether they love or hate me, may those feelings be the source of their fulfillment. Those who mock, accuse, or wrong me, may they all attain enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Please be seated.
Now, Reverend Fujimoto will share a Dharma message with us.
Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. Is there something going on over there? Is anybody over there? No? It's almost never closed, so it's not something top secret's happening over there. Okay, today I thought I'd talk a little bit about compassion and humility. Okay, there's some words from the Tanisho I would like to begin with. So please join me in Gassho. For those who make their living drawing nets or fishing in the seas and rivers, and those who sustain their lives hunting beasts or taking fowl in the fields and mountains, and those who pass their lives conducting trade or cultivating fields and paddies. It is all the same. If the karmic cause so prompts us, we will commit any kind of act. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda. So this quote is from the Tanisho and words from Shindan Shonin. So after he was exiled and he was stripped of his title as a monk and his Buddhist name, and he lived among the farmers and peasants in Echigo province. And so these are the people that he lived with, people who are fishing, in the seas or rivers, those who are hunting, taking fowl, those who are farming or growing rice, and these are the people that he lived with. And so this is kind of more of his education, to leave the monastic life and to live with everyday people. And as he's watching and living with these everyday people, he's saying, it's all the same. Whether you're a monk or a lay person, if you have the karmic causes, this is what will lead how you live your life. Okay. So when we come to the temple, there are a number of words that we use. You might hear to come just as you are, just as you are. Kono mama, sono mama, right, are the Japanese terms, just to come and be just as you are. Okay. Another term we might hear or use in Japanese, ondobo, ondogyo. And this one means we're all fellow travelers along the Nembutsu path. Okay. So nothing special, no elitism. We're all fellow travelers, whether sensei or lay members, we're all the same. We also hear words like everyday life is our practice. And we might speak of blind passions, okay? And so these are some of the teachers at Jodo Shinchi Center. They might have problem with the translation. Why do they call it blind? Why is it blind? And they get into these hour-long debates about things like this. But basically, greed, anger, and ignorance continuously, incessantly coming to the surface as we live our everyday lives, right? And we've all experienced this. So each of these terms and words, they're kind of like conveying that we're not special. We're ordinary people. Okay. And I think as I was thinking about this, I think it's a very basic trait of Buddhist humility and compassion, right? So when we come here and we sit with people here in the Hondo or work with them, on our events, we see that and we notice that humility and compassion. And I think we admire that in others. We encourage that in ourselves, okay? These two things. So another thing we talk about, causes and conditions, okay? Often, I love those words. So countless causes and conditions. And it lets us recognize all this infinite network of things that happen, things that have happened, and these influence us, how we live our lives, the way we live our lives. Okay. So countless causes and conditions can also be translated as conditional arising. Okay. Have you ever heard that? Conditional arising. And so that's a translation of pratitya samutpada, and the very basic core teaching of all of Buddhism. All the different schools of Buddhism recognize this core pratitya samutpada, conditional arising. And so what this means is nothing is of its own. Everything arises because of certain conditions. I am born because of the conditions of parents, grandparents, generations, so many generations of Fujimotos or whatever, family members, right? And we are each the same. So countless causes and conditions. This piece of wood, right, is created just so we have a nice podium. Sensei could speak up here. Microphone is set up, and all these things are temporary, right? The causes, conditional arising. Because it is so, because of the wood, it stands today. In 100 years, it's going to be taken away to the end of Davis Street and run over by bulldozers and becomes recycled material, right? So depending on when we see it, it might be different. 20 years earlier, maybe it was a tree, right? And we don't know, depending on when we come to see it. And we talk about these kind of things, that chain of events that have to happen for anything to be, anything, right? This whole room was not here 200 years ago. The house was not here, right? Even when we talk to the Dharma school about getting a McDonald's hamburger or something, and we go on and on. We can go on and on about what allows us to eat this hamburger. And we tell the story, right? Somebody had to raise the cow, and the rangers who raised the cattle took them to the slaughterhouse. It became hamburger and packaged and made into patties and shipped in the McDonald's trucks to each of the locations, right? Same with the wrappers, right? The white ones for regular burgers and the yellow ones for cheeseburgers. They're all part of this chain of things that had to happen just for me to have this one little hamburger, right? And what about the bun and the farmers that raise the grain? And it goes on and on and on and on to this conditional arising, countless causes and conditions. So this is what we look at and are reminded of every time we come to hear a Dharma talk, right? So this conditional arising is a part of our perspective, becomes part of our lesson. The historical Buddha says, because this exists, that exists. Because this does not exist, that does not exist. Because this arises, that arises. Because this perishes, that perishes. Okay? And this is the condition of everything we encounter in our lives. And if we look at it very carefully, we see how we are affected. We can see our own life. We could see our own death. And so it's not, even death is not an oddity that we will face completely surprised. We know already that this is part of how things emerge and dissipate, right? So we're learning this about everything in our lives, everything that touches us. Okay. So all things have this interdependent relationship with all other things, interconnectedness. Okay. So we talk about this chain of events and so many things. And when we look at the actual chain, what we notice is that there's more that we don't know than there is that we do know. There's more that we don't see than there is that we do see. Okay. We like to think that we're knowledgeable, that we know a lot. We can teach somebody something. We can show somebody something. But there's a lot that we don't know. And this is what this is pointing out. Okay, this teaching of conditional arising. Another example is the iceberg. We talk about icebergs all the time. A beautiful chunk of ice floating out there. We only see 10%, and 90% is underneath where we don't see it, right? So this is the same thing, that we don't notice most of it. We just notice this surface level, superficial part of our lives. Okay. But when we do recognize these conditions, that there is more, but then we can't help but become a humble person. Okay? We recognize of the things that we don't know or see. And the vastness of that makes us humble instead of arrogant. Okay? There was a story from Dr. Haneda, and he had a very nice example that he went through to experience this. So it was at the beginning of when COVID was coming on, and so Dr. Haneda had a toothache. He had to make an appointment with his oral surgeon. Okay, so appointment was made, and he went to the oral surgeon. And when the day came, and he's sitting there in his chair, going on, getting ready for this surgery, and no one looks forward to oral surgery, right? And since it came to that day, and he's sitting in the chair with his mouth open, and the surgeon is getting ready, and he has a younger assistant, right, in her later 20s maybe. So as they start working, he's getting things ready. Goes, a chart, please. It's preparing things. Chart, please. Getting ready, right? Putting things in order, everything he has to do. Chart, please. And finally, she gives them the chart, okay? And then, as he continues on, syringe, please. Syringe, please. Syringe, please. And then he'll get the syringe. And this happened a number of times. He asked for a mirror. He asked for a wedge. He asked for gauze. All these things 3 times, maybe 4 times. He's saying this, and Dr. Haneda's getting upset. You know, how come he has somebody so incompetent? You know, how annoying. I'm already uncomfortable, and then he has to say every single thing 3 times, even 4 times. And so he was getting really upset. The surgeon's trying to stay calm, not showing that he's upset. And after they were done, he told Dr. Haneda, Dr. Haneda, I'm very sorry about my assistant. You know, she has a hearing problem. Usually, we don't have a problem because she can read my lips very well. But because we're wearing these masks from the COVID, she can't see my face, and she's not able to read my lips. So this is why we have a little bit of a problem communicating. So I have to repeat myself 2-3 times. So I'm really, really sorry if this made you feel uncomfortable. So Dr. Haneda, hearing this, he got a little deeper insight into her situation and what had been going on for the past hour, right? So he could appreciate what she was going through, her struggles. No wonder he had to say it a few times. You know, how special it is that even with her disability, handicap, she could go on in school and get this type of degree, have this kind of job to work as a dental assistant. And so as he got this more information, he was really appreciating that she persevered to become this professional, and his anger, his irritation changed to sympathy, empathy, compassion, right? And we've gone through this kind of thing, something we didn't know. I think that's common when we talk about getting upset driving the car. On the good side, oh, maybe he's just in a hurry. Maybe he's trying to get to the hospital. Something, right? We try to look at the good side of things. But this happens when we consider more than this surface level, looking at all the causes and conditions and not just what I see right now. Okay. So when Shinran is talking about humility, there's one story in the Tanisho. We looked at chapters of the Tanisho a couple years ago in our BEC class here, and there's one chapter 13, and the Tanisho are back and forth with Shinran and his disciple. Disciple wrote the book, but gives you deep insight into how Shinran thought and these encounters they had. And so in chapter 13 is a story that the disciple wanted to learn from Shinran about going to the Pure Land. And so Shinran asked them, if I say something that will help you to get to the Pure Land, would you listen to what I say? Would you follow my words? So yes, I would. Okay. So if I say something, you're going to listen and follow my words. Yes, I would. Okay. If that's the case, I want you to go kill 1,000 people. And the disciple right away, so Sensei, I can't do that. I don't know if I can even kill a single person. Right? And the point Shinran was making was that he didn't have all the karmic conditions that would allow him to kill 1,000 people or even one person. And it's not just listening to your teacher or doing what you're asked to do, but there's causes from not only mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, but maybe 20, maybe 50, maybe 100 generations of your family creating the karmic conditions that don't allow you to go out. Okay, I'll kill 1,000 if that gets me to the Pure Land. No, you don't act like this. We don't act just by our own accord. And there's more to it beyond the surface level. So this is what they're pointing at when we're talking about infinite causes and conditions, okay, or conditional arising. This is what he's talking about, what Buddhism is teaching us. So we connect, we are able to recognize beyond my eyeballs, my perspective, there's more to it, there's more to it. And we become compassionate, we become humble. And these are the qualities that we see here, that we recognize in others, that we admire, that we look to for ourselves. So this happens again and again, okay? So this insight humbles us, moves us away from our arrogance, okay? There's another story in the Tanisho, and he's talking about getting to the Pure Land. Even a good person can make it to the Pure Land. How much more so an evil person? There's a very well-known quote from the Tanisho. In normal perspective, it would be flipped, right? If an evil person could make it, then how much more so a good person? But Shinran doesn't say that. He says even a good person can make it. How much more so an evil person? So the good person thinks he's closer to qualifying, thinks he's done something good, something special, that he has good qualities that brings him closer to enlightenment, awakening, entering the Pure Land. Okay, so because he's patting himself on the back, he's further away from such an awakening. The evil person, the person who is struggling, seeing that he's limited, seeing that he doesn't see the whole picture, he's the one that's more aware of these countless causes and conditions. He's the one that's closer to awakening. Okay, so this is the basis of this very well-known quote: even a good person can make it, be born into the Pure Land. How much more so an evil person? So through these stories, Shindan's understanding of humility, compassion, we hear these stories and these words here when we come to the temple, and we come to recognize we're all in the same boat. Okay, we're not that much different. We're each guided by all these infinite past causes and conditions. This is our spiritual karma that affects us. So, as we recognize this, we sense our oneness with everyone else. We sense our oneness with all people everywhere. Okay, and so through this is the basis of Pratitya Samutpada, basic teaching. This is why all the schools recognize this, and I think it's very unique to Buddhism. You don't hear something parallel or similar when you look at the words of other religious traditions. So this is something that we can recognize and grow from. We're able to live our lives with humility, compassion. Okay. Please join me in Gassho, and I'll read this quote again. For those who make their living drawing nets or fishing in the seas and rivers, and those who sustain their lives hunting beasts or taking fowl in the fields and the mountains, and those who pass their lives conducting trade, cultivating fields or paddies, it is all the same. If the karmic cause so prompts us, we will commit any kind of act. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda. I think one more word that comes to mind is okage-sama de. We hear that often, and I translated that it's like living in the shade, and it means, I live in the shadows of the efforts of others, right? So okage-sama de, I am recognizing that what I have received from my lineage, parents and grandparents, all the elders of this temple, those who helped to build this temple, all these things, okage-sama de, from their efforts, I live in the shade of what they have been able to provide in my life. So there's one more word. Maybe you can think of some. Okay. Share the words that you might come to your mind, that you have heard here at some of the other temples. Share them during the Ask Reverend Dennis. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei, for your message. Now please stand for the Gatha, May Peace Prevail, on pages 89 and 90 in the White Book.
voice in our voice, embraced in Buddha's light. May peace, tranquility prevail throughout the world. May peace live as we learn, with eyes self-reflect, to always light our way. May peace, tranquility prevail throughout the world. Let peace live as we help, with rays of gratitude, connecting hearts and hands. May peace, tranquility prevail throughout the world. Let's talk with everyone. Let's learn from everyone. Lend help to everyone. Let peace, tranquility may spread throughout the world. Please be seated.
I'd like to thank those who helped with all the altar preparations and with the service. So thank you to Reverend Dennis. YouTube is Brian back here. The altar flowers were by Jane. Lenny and Abstentia provided the CD for the music, and Doug was our DJ for today. And also thank you to all those who brought refreshments. So, do we have any newcomers or visitors? If you'd like to stand. Hi, would you like to introduce yourself? Hi. Okay. And thank you for coming to our service today. Now there's a few announcements. Next Sunday, which is March 30th, there'll be no service since it's the 5th Sunday of the month. On Sunday, April 6th, it's our Shotsuki monthly memorial service. On Sunday, April 13th, it's our Hanamatsuri service. And we'll have a guest speaker, Sydney Shiroyama, who is the minister's assistant from the Palo Alto Buddhist Temple. And at the end of the month, the 26th and 27th, we'll have our Hidden Treasures sale. So you have until Hanamatsuri to bring your donations in. And we're looking for volunteers if you could spare a few hours on those dates. Are there any other announcements? Okay. Well, today is Ask Reverend Dennis Day, so Sensei will begin the Ask Reverend Dennis session.